Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Whatever time you're watching this video, welcome and thank you for checking us out this week. Now, I want to say, last week we received so much positive feedback. Our downloads were up over 300%, and we would just like to say thanks. It's appreciated. I do want to say that today, as you can see, I'm wearing my normal hat and I have on my glasses. What happened last week will never happen again. I can promise you that. It was terrifying and I'm sorry. Now, before I start with local stories, I would like to talk about something that I think is directly affecting all of us, and that is the government shutdown. Just the other day I posted a story about how food stamp benefits, WIC benefits will stop effective November 1st. Families that are receiving food assistance will not receive them in November if the government shutdown has not been concluded. That's a serious problem. People claim to be leaders. People say they're looking out for America and working together. But that actually means they need to work together. It's not like America is 98% one party and 2% the other. We're pretty much split right down the middle. So that means you have to compromise. You have to work together. This political theater has gone on long enough. It's not rocket science. Albert Einstein doesn't need to figure this out. The formula is simple. You negotiate. Give and take. That's how things work. So let's hope and pray that our supposed leaders in Washington, D.C., who are supposed to be making decisions, leading and helping all of us, finally put their egos aside and get their heads out of their you-know-what and start actually doing their jobs. Now, the first segment today is going to be over a story I've been covering for many years. I think I started in 2023, and that is the disappearance of Michael Latimer. November 23rd, 1999, Michael disappeared, and he's never been seen since. It's obvious he's dead. That much we know for sure, but the how and the why and the justice, those questions have never been answered. That day, Michael was supposedly get a truck title from Joe Rosebrook. He was reportedly picked up by 3 people. One of those people is pretty certain by testimony from a variety of different witnesses that Carl Stevenson was one of those 3. The other 2 in the car is open for debate. I've heard numerous names, so it's really hard to say. But Carl was there. Carl worked with Michael. They worked in Rushsylvania at a garage. Both were involved in a theft case, stealing antiques. Now, Joe Rosebrook was well known for being a car thief, operating one of the most successful car theft rings in the country, according to FBI agents. But Joe obviously worked stealing and fencing all kinds of items, including antiques. Michael and Carl were caught. The detectives involved with the case were able to get Michael to agree to testify against Joe Rosebrook in court, using the arrest of theft of the antiques as leverage to get him to cooperate. Not long after that, Michael disappeared. It's the same old story we see in numerous true crime podcasts or episodes on TV or in dozens and dozens of movies. The guy who's going to tell disappears. There's no physical evidence. There's no body. But Michael did not have the ability to vanish on his own. He didn't have the financial freedom to do any of that. One witness that I spoke to told investigators that Joe offered him $20,000 to kill Michael. Now, this guy took a lie detector test at BCI headquarters in London, Ohio, and passed. Do I believe him 100%? I have no idea. Lie detector tests are not admissible in a court for a reason. They are not 100% accurate. But I think it's interesting to say that he did pass that test. Joe himself, once he was in jail for another crime, offered to take a lie detector test. And he went to BCI headquarters in London. And the detectives caught him trying to tamper with a piece of metal that was in the bottom of his shoe, sticking into his foot. The investigators believed he was doing that to throw off the results of the examination. So they removed the piece of metal from Joe's shoe and asked him to take the polygraph, and he said no. Again, is that proof? No, but it's definitely very interesting. Despite decades of investigations, no one has ever been charged in connection with Michael's case. His family and friends have no answers, no justice, and no place to mourn him. Someone out there knows something. It's been 26 years. That's well long enough for this family and the friends of Michael to find out what really happened, and for the people who were responsible to be held accountable and put in prison. Now, a quick overview of Joe Rosebrook. I think some know a little bit about him. He was well known for being a car thief. FBI said he had one of the most efficient car chop shops in the country, as I said before. He started in 1984. He got arrested with a co-conspirator, and this guy was going to testify against Joe in court. The day before he was going to testify, June 11th, 1984, a car bomb went off, seriously injuring the man that was going to testify against Joe Rosebrook. The trial ended up being stopped, and eventually Joe pled guilty and spent a little bit of time in prison. Now, November of 99, Michael Latimer went missing. From the beginning, Joe Rosebrook has been one of the prime suspects. 2004, Joe was arrested and convicted while he pled guilty to trying to arrange the murder of Kurt Frazier. The person who wore a wire against Joe was Dan Ott, a well-known car thief. We'll share stories from newspapers around Ohio talking about Dan Ott's skill set and something he was very proud of. He was known for stealing Corvettes. Joe offered Dan money to kill Kurt. Dan wore a wire and got evidence that the investigators used to arrest Joe. While Joe was in prison after pleading guilty, he arranged the murder of Dan Ott. Chad South was in prison with Joe, and when he got out, the way the story goes, he got money from Kurt's brother, Jeff, or from Joe's brother, Jeff, for the murder, and he went up and killed Dan Ott. Problem is, he killed the wrong one. The Dan Ott car thief was much older. The guy he killed was in his 30s. It was a case of mistaken identity. It took the investigators up in Geauga County, Ohio, many years to finally make the connection between their Dan Ott and Joe Rosebrook. Joe was convicted by a jury in a trial and sentenced to life in prison. Some say Joe's a victim. He's been railroaded his whole life. Others say he's a monster. I have no idea. I don't know Joe. But I do know he's in prison for life, and a jury convicted him. So that would make me believe he's guilty. 100% guilty. Now, the Logan County Sheriff's Department, just December of 2023, they were digging in the site of an old junkyard up near Russellvania looking for Michael. Unfortunately, this did not turn up any evidence. But as of December of 2023, the Logan County Sheriff's Department is still actively investigating the disappearance of Michael Latimer. So if you have any information, please contact the Logan County Sheriff's Office at 937-592-5731. And as I said, I know people know what happened. It's time to stop protecting the monsters and start helping the victim. Come forward and tell the truth. Michael's family and friends have waited long enough. Mary Rutan Hospital. We have been talking about what's been going on with them for the last few weeks and what has been going on with them. It's been a fixture of our community for decades. I was born there. Both of my children were born there. Since 2024, the hospital has taken 2,700 patients to court for unpaid bills, getting garnishment judgments against them. 2,700. Between the years of 2000 and 2023, the hospital averaged 400 court cases per year. So it has exploded at a staggering level. Now, what is a garnishment? It's when a court orders against you in a civil hearing and you will have to pay 25% of your income per pay period. That will go towards the garnishment. So if you make $10 an hour, $2.50 of that, of your hourly rate, will go to the garnishment. It is crippling for families. A garnishment is a financial hardship that most families cannot absorb, including my own. So, why has this been happening? Is the hospital losing money? Are they broke? Well, because they are a nonprofit, their financial records are public information. So I looked it up. Between 2016 and 2023, over that 8-year period, the hospital made in profit $29.7 million. There was one year, 2022, they did lose a little over $6 million. But again, if you take the accumulation of their earnings over the last 8 years, they've made $30 million. So they're not financially struggling. Another thing you look at is their debt to asset ratio. And the hospital reported in 2023 that their total assets were $163 million. And their total liabilities, just a little under $39 million. That's a debt to asset ratio of 23.8%. Anything below 30% is considered extremely healthy. So the hospital, by all measures, are not financially struggling. So why would a financially stable hospital be so aggressive in going after our community members? Many patients say they tried to set up payment plans that were affordable to them, but the hospital was not willing to negotiate. This situation has even caught the attention of state-level lawmakers. 2 members of the General Assembly, Micheal, a Democrat from Toledo, and Gene Schmidt, a Republican from Cincinnati, have co-sponsored the Medical Debt Fairness Act. If passed, this bill would ban medical debt from credit reports, cap medical interest rates at 3%, Mary Rutan is charging 8%, and ban wage garnishments for medical bills. I think it's telling that you have a Republican and Democrat working together because of this issue. Some people have said by defending the hospital, if you owe money, you should pay it. And that's fair. But when a hospital suddenly increases garnishments by sevenfold, 700%, while they're still turning in millions in profits, that's not normal. And it's serious enough that lawmakers are trying to make this illegal. So here's the bottom line. Mary Rutan is financially healthy, very healthy, and yet putting thousands of our families through hardships related to garnishments. Why not negotiate? Why not work out a plan? I've reached out to the hospital for comment, asking them to explain their side of the story. As of the recording of this video, they have not responded. In closing, I'd like to say that communities are only as strong as the members that are in it. People who know the truth about Michael and choose not to say anything, it makes our community weaker. It makes us pitiful that we protect evil over the good. It's a situation that can be rectified with people having the courage to come forward and tell the truth. In the situation with the hospital, you have an organization that I believe is causing unbelievable stress and hardship on families with garnishing their wages for medical bills. There can be a negotiated settlement here. There can be a way to work this out together. Instead of just putting these families through the financial hell of losing a quarter of their income. Communities and community leaders like Mary Rutan, we need to learn, they need to learn, that you're only going to be as good as you treat others. And if they're going to treat their patients that way, there's a price to pay for that. People don't go to the hospital because they just want to have fun there and they want to. It's not like they're buying a car that they can't afford, and then when the bill comes due, that they struggle to pay it. Hospital debt is much different. You go because you have no choice, and there has to be a better way to pay back what we owe. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave comments below. It really helps, and I appreciate your engagement. We'll see you again next week. And remember, take care of yourselves and one another.